Hello, everyone. My name is Natasha, and today we're going to do something very exciting together. Have you ever wondered what your true English level is? Maybe you think you're a beginner, or maybe you feel like you're already intermediate, or perhaps you believe you're advanced, but sometimes you still get stuck when speaking. Well, in this lesson, we're going to explore exactly that, step by step, through a guided English test that feels more like a conversation than an exam. You'll get to listen, think, and respond as if we're talking in real life. And by the end, you'll have a much clearer idea of your English level and how you can move to the next stage. This test will not just give you a label like beginner or advanced. Instead, it will show you where your strengths are and where you might need more practice. I'll guide you through different parts: listening, speaking, vocabulary, grammar, and fluency. Don't worry, you don't need paper, a pen, or anything formal. Just relax, listen carefully, and try to answer out loud whenever I ask you to. As we go through, I'll give you real-life practice examples. You can shadow me, repeat after me, and imagine you're using English in daily life situations. This is not only a test, it's also a training session that will improve your English as we practice together. And don't worry if you don't get everything perfect. Mistakes are part of the journey, and every mistake you make is helping you improve. So, are you ready to test your English level with me today? Take a deep breath, get comfortable, and let's begin our journey to discovering your true English level together. Great! Let's get started with the first stage of our English level test. I want you to imagine we are having a real conversation. I'll ask you some simple questions, and your job is to answer out loud, just as if we were speaking face to face. Don't worry about being perfect. Just speak, and let the words flow naturally. Let's begin with something very easy. Can you say your name and where you are from? For example, you can say, "My name is Natasha, and I am from London." Now, take a moment and introduce yourself. Speak slowly and clearly. Good. Now let's add more details. Try to answer this question. What do you usually do in the morning? Think about your daily routine. You might say, "In the morning, I wake up at 7 o'clock. I brush my teeth, and I have breakfast." Try to speak in full sentences. Don't just say, "Wake up, eat, use." I wake up, I eat breakfast, I go to work. The more complete your answer, the more advanced your English level shows itself. Let's practice together. Repeat after me. I wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning. I brush my teeth and wash my face. I have breakfast before I go to work or school. Say those sentences out loud with me. Now, let's make it a little more challenging. Instead of just talking about today, try talking about yesterday. Answer this question. What did you do yesterday morning? For example, yesterday morning I woke up early. I went for a walk, and then I had some tea before starting work. Did you notice the difference? When we talk about yesterday, we must use the past tense. Wake becomes woke. Go becomes went. Have becomes had. Repeat these with me slowly. Yesterday I woke up early. Yesterday I went to work by bus. Yesterday I had a sandwich for breakfast. These small changes show if your grammar is at a beginner, intermediate, or advanced level. Now, let's move to a short listening practice. I will say a few sentences, and I want you to listen carefully and then try to repeat them after me. Ready? I like reading books in the evening. My best friend lives in another city. Last weekend, I watched a movie at the cinema. Try to repeat them now. Good. Now I'll ask you a question. What do you usually do on weekends? Think of your answer. If you can answer with just one word like movies or sleep, that's okay. But that shows a more basic level. If you can make a full sentence, such as, on weekends, I usually watch movies, meet my friends, and cook dinner at home, that shows you're practicing at an intermediate level. If you can expand even more, like, on weekends, I usually spend time with my family, go shopping, or sometimes travel to new places. It helps me relax after a busy week. Then you're showing advanced fluency. So, try now. Speak your answer in a full sentence. On weekends, I usually, and continue with your own words. Now, let's explore your vocabulary level. Vocabulary is one of the clearest ways to understand if you are a beginner, intermediate, or advanced learner. I'll start with very common, simple words, and then we will move to more difficult ones. Let's begin with some easy vocabulary. Can you tell me 5 fruits in English? For example, apple, banana, orange, mango, grape. Say them with me slowly. Apple, banana, orange, mango, grape. Now, think of 2 more fruits on your own. Speak them out loud, even if you're not sure of the pronunciation. Good. Now let's try with vegetables. Repeat after me. Carrot, tomato, onion, potato, cucumber. C. And you add 3 more vegetables? Try to say them without my help. If you can easily say more vegetables, that shows you already have a wider vocabulary. Now, let's make it more challenging. Let's move to emotions and feelings. Repeat after me. Happy, sad, excited, nervous, confident. Good. Now try to use one of these words in a sentence. For example, I am happy today because I am learning English. Or, I feel nervous when I have to speak in front of many people. Take a moment to practice, to check your vocabulary level. I'll ask you this question. How do you feel when you meet someone new for the first time? If you say, I am happy, that's good, but simple. If you can say, I feel nervous but also excited when I meet someone new. That's intermediate. If you can say, when I meet someone for the first time, I usually feel a mixture of excitement and nervousness, but I try to be confident and friendly. Then that shows a more advanced vocabulary and sentence structure. Try now. Say your answer out loud. Let's practice with another category. Daily activities. Repeat after me slowly. Cooking, cleaning, studying, exercising, shopping. Now, I'll give you a challenge. Use at least 3 of these words in a sentence. For example, yesterday I was cooking dinner, then I did some cleaning, and later I went shopping with my sister. Try making your own sentence out loud. Now, I want you to listen and repeat a short dialogue. Imagine 2 people meeting after a long time. Person A says, Hey, it's been a long time. How are you doing? Person B replies, I'm doing well, thank you. I've been busy with work. How about you? Person A says, I'm good too. I just came back from a short trip. Repeat these lines with me, one by one. Speak them slowly. Then try again more naturally. This kind of short dialogue shows if you can connect phrases smoothly, if you only see, match a few words that might place you in beginner level. If you can repeat most of the conversation, you're likely intermediate. If you can even add your own details naturally, then you're showing advanced fluency. Let's practice adding details now. I'll ask, what did you do last weekend? At beginner level, you might say, I watched TV. At intermediate level, you could say, I watched TV and visited my friend. At advanced level, you could say, last weekend, I stayed at home and watched a new series on TV, and then I visited my friend on Sunday. We had dinner together and talked for hours. Now try to create your own answer with details. Now let's test your grammar level. Grammar is like the skeleton of your English. It's what holds your sentences together. Don't worry, I won't make it boring or too technical. Instead, we'll practice through natural questions and answers. That way, you'll see whether you are beginner, intermediate, or advanced. Let's start with present tense. Listen carefully. I live in New York. She works in a school. They play football every Sunday. Repeat these sentences after me. This is the simple present tense, and it's usually what beginners learn first. Now, try to make your own sentence about your daily life. For example, I study English every evening. Say your sentence now. Good. Now let's switch to the past tense. Listen carefully. I visited my grandparents last weekend. She watched a movie yesterday. They traveled to Paris last year. Did you notice the small changes? Visit becomes visited. Watch becomes watched. Travel becomes traveled. Repeat these sentences with me slowly. Now, make your own past tense sentence. For example, yesterday I cooked dinner. Go ahead, try now. Let's go one step higher to present perfect tense. This is where many learners get confused. Listen carefully. I have lived in this city for 5 years. She has finished her homework already. They have never visited London. Notice how we use have or has plus the past participle. This shows experience, time up to now, or something that just happened. Repeat these sentences with me. Now try your own. For example, I have learned English for 3 years. Say it slowly, and don't worry if you make a mistake. Now let's check fluency with questions. I'll ask you, have you ever traveled to another country? At beginner level, you might just say yes or no. At intermediate level, you could say, yes, I have traveled to Dubai. At advanced level, you could say, yes, I have traveled to Dubai twice, and I loved the food and culture there. So, take a moment and answer this question for yourself. Good. Now, let's challenge your grammar with future tense. Repeat after me. I will go shopping tomorrow. She will start a new job next month. They will visit their parents this weekend. Say them with me. Now, try your own future tense sentence, maybe about what you will do later today. For example, I will practice more English after this lesson. To make it harder, let's use going to. Listen carefully. I am going to meet my friend this afternoon. She is going to study medicine. They are going to watch a football match. Notice the pattern. Am going to, is going to, are going to. Repeat those sentences after me. Now, create your own going to sentence. Let's connect everything in a mini conversation. I'll ask you, what are you going to do this weekend? At beginner level, you might say, I go shopping. At intermediate, you could say, I am going to meet my friends. At advanced, you could say, this weekend, I am going to meet my friends, and we are going to have dinner together and watch a movie afterward. Try your version now. Another grammar test is how you use questions. Beginners often forget to use do or did. For example, a beginner might say, you like pizza? But the correct form is, do you like pizza? Or in the past, did you eat breakfast? Repeat with me slowly. Do you like pizza? Did you eat breakfast? Now, answer them. Yes, I like pizza. Yes, I ate breakfast. Now let's practice with we ate questions. Listen carefully. Where do you live? What do you usually do after work? When did you last go shopping? Repeat each question with me, then try to answer them in a full sentence. For example, I live in Lahore. After work, I usually cook dinner and relax. I last went shopping 2 weeks ago. Try to create your own answers now. To check your level more deeply, I'll give you a challenge. Listen carefully. If I had more time, I would learn another language. This is called the conditional form. Repeat with me. If I had more time, I would learn another language. Now try your own. For example, if I were rich, I would travel the world. If you can create this kind of sentence, you are showing an advanced level of English. Now let's focus on listening comprehension. This is a very important skill because understanding spoken English in real life can sometimes feel much harder than reading or writing. I'll guide you step by step. First, I'll read a very short passage. Listen carefully, and then I'll ask you some simple questions about it. Ready? Yesterday morning, Anna woke up early. She went to the park for a walk. After walking, she bought a coffee and then went to work by bus. Now, here are some questions. Answer them out loud. What did Anna do yesterday morning? Where did she go after her walk? How did she go to work? If you answered, she went to the park, or she went to work by bus, then you understood well. This is a begin. Our level listening passage. Let's make it a little longer now. Listen carefully. Last weekend, John and his family visited the countryside. They stayed in a small guest house near a river. During the day, they went hiking in the forest, and in the evening, they cooked dinner together. John said it was one of the most relaxing weekends he had in a long time. Now, I'll ask you, where did John and his family go last weekend? What did they do during the day? What did they do in the evening? How did John feel about the weekend? Try to answer out loud. If you can answer with full sentences like, John and his family went to the countryside, they went hiking during the day, and in the evening, they cooked dinner together. John felt very relaxed. Then you're showing a strong intermediate listening ability. Now let's try an advanced listening passage. Listen carefully, because this will be a little longer and include more details. Maria has been studying English for 5 years. She started learning because she wanted to travel and communicate with people around the world. At first, it was very difficult for her, especially listening to fast conversations, but she never gave up. She practiced every day by watching movies, listening to podcasts, and speaking with her friends. Last year, she traveled to Canada and she was able to speak confidently with native speakers. Now, she says English has changed her life and opened many opportunities for her career. Here are the questions. How long has Maria been studying English? Why did she start learning English? What was difficult for her at first? What did she do to improve her English? What happened when she traveled to Canada? Take a moment to answer these questions out loud. If you can repeat details like, she has been studying English for 5 years, or she practiced every day by watching movies, listening to podcasts, and speaking with friends, then you're showing advanced comprehension skills. Now let's combine listening with speaking practice. I'll read a short dialogue, and I want you to repeat each line after me. Ready? A. Excuse me, could you tell me how to get to the train station? B. Sure. Go straight for 2 blocks, then turn left. The station will be on your right. A. Thank you very much. B. You're welcome. Repeat the dialogue with me slowly, line by line. Now, let's try it again faster, more natural, like a real conversation. Good. Now, try to imagine your person A asking for directions, and say the first line on your own. Then imagine you are person B giving the answer. Switching roles like this is a great way to test both listening and speaking at the same time. Another practice for listening is shadowing. I'll say a sentence, and you repeat immediately after me, trying to match my rhythm and tone. Ready? I usually drink coffee in the morning before work. Say it. My best friend and I talk on the phone every weekend. Say it. Learning English takes time, but every step makes you better. Say it. If you can shadow naturally, without long pauses, then your listening and speaking skills are working together. This is one of the strongest signs of moving toward advanced fluency. Vocabulary is not just about knowing many words, it's about knowing how to use them naturally in sentences and in daily conversations. To test your level, we'll start with simple words and move toward more advanced vocabulary step by step. Let's begin with a simple warm-up. I'll give you a word, and you try to use it in a full sentence. The first word is book. At beginner level, you might just say, I have a book. At intermediate level, you could say, I am reading an interesting book about history. At advanced level, you might say, I recently read a fascinating book that completely changed my perspective on how people think and communicate. Now, try to create your own sentence with the word boated. Okay, let's try another one. The word is travel. A beginner might say, I like travel, but actually we should say, I like to travel. That's already better. At intermediate level, you could say, I want to travel to many countries in the future. At advanced level, you might say, I love to travel because it gives me the chance to explore different cultures and meet new people from around the world. Try saying your own sentence now. Now let's test your vocabulary with synonyms. Synonyms are words with similar meanings. Listen carefully. The word is happy. A synonym is glad. Another is joyful. An advanced synonym might be delighted or thrilled. Beginners often use only happy. Intermediate learners use glad. Advanced learners use words like delighted or thrilled. Repeat them after me slowly. Happy, glad, joyful, delighted, thrilled. Now try to make a sentence with one of these words. Let's try another word. Big. A beginner says, it's a big house. An intermediate learner might say, "It's a large house." An advanced learner could say, "It's a huge house," or "It's an enormous house." Repeat these synonyms with me: big, large, huge, enormous. Now, try to use one in your own sentence. Now, let's practice fluency with a short activity. I'll ask you a question, and I want you to answer as quickly as possible without pausing too long. Don't think too much, just speak. Ready? What's your favorite food? Answer quickly. Good. What do you usually do in the evening? Answer quickly. Nice. Who is your best friend? Say their name and something about them. Excellent. This exercise shows if you can speak naturally without translating in your head. Let's make it a little harder. I'll ask you to describe something in detail. For example, describe your bedroom. At beginner level, you might say, "My bedroom is small. There is a bed and a table." At intermediate level, you could say, "My bedroom is small but comfortable. There is a bed, a table, and a chair. The walls are white." At advanced level, you might say, "My bedroom is cozy and well organized. There is a bed with a blue blanket, a desk where I study, and some pictures on the wall. I like spending time there because it feels peaceful." Now try to describe your own bedroom out loud. Another fluency practice is storytelling. I'll give you a topic and you try to tell a short story. Here's the topic: your last holiday. At beginner level, you might say, "I went to the beach. It was nice." At intermediate level, you could say, "I went to the beach last summer with my family. We swam and ate good food." At advanced level, you might say, "Last summer I went to the beach with my family. We stayed at a small hotel near the sea. During the day, we swam and played games, and in the evening we tried different local foods. It was a wonderful holiday, and I will always remember it." Now try to tell your holiday story in your own words. Finally, let's practice shadowing again with slightly longer sentences for fluency. Repeat after me. I believe that learning English every day, even for just a few minutes, can make a big difference over time. Again. When I travel, I enjoy talking to people from different backgrounds because it helps me practice my English naturally. One more. Sometimes I make mistakes when I speak, but I know that every mistake is an opportunity to learn and improve. These shadowing practices not only test your level but also train your speaking muscles, helping you to speak smoothly and naturally. One of the best ways to measure your English level is to imagine yourself in everyday situations. And notice how much you can say fluently without stopping or translating. Let's begin with something very common: ordering food at a restaurant. At a basic level, a learner might only say, "I want pizza." This communicates the idea, but it is short and simple. At an intermediate level, a learner could say, "I would like to order a pizza, please." This shows a better understanding of polite structures. At an advanced level, a learner could say, "I would like to order a pizza with extra cheese, and could you also bring me a glass of water?" The difference is in detail, politeness, and the ability to expand the sentence naturally. You can practice now by imagining yourself in a restaurant and saying out loud what you would order. Let's try another real-life example: shopping at a store. At beginner level, someone might say, "How much this?" This is understandable, but grammatically incomplete. At intermediate level, they could say, "How much does this cost?" This is correct and polite. At advanced level, they might say, Excuse me, could you tell me how much this costs? And do you have it in a different size or color? Again, you can see the difference in fluency and expression. To practice, choose an item near you, maybe your phone, your book, or your bag, and try to form a sentence as if you were asking about its price in a shop. Now imagine meeting someone new. At a basic level, the exchange might only be, "Hello, my name is Sarah." At an intermediate level, it could expand to, "Hello, my name is Sarah. Nice to meet you. Where are you from?" At an advanced level, it might sound like, "Hello, my name is Sarah. It's so nice to meet you. I'm from Islamabad, and I work as a teacher. What about you?" The difference here is in how much you can share and how naturally you can continue the conversation. Think of how you usually introduce yourself, and then try to expand your introduction with more details to test your fluency. Another useful practice is describing your daily routine. A beginner may say, "I wake up, I eat breakfast, I go work." The meaning is clear, but the grammar and flow are very basic. At an intermediate level, the sentence might sound like, "I usually wake up at 7, eat breakfast quickly, and then go to work by bus." At an advanced level, a learner could say, "I usually wake up at 7, prepare a light breakfast, and then take the bus to work. During the journey, I like to listen to podcasts or review my notes for the day." Adding details and creating a smoother flow of ideas shows stronger control of English. Try describing your own morning out loud now, and notice how many details you can add. Finally, think about conversations with friends. A beginner might only say, "I go park." At an intermediate level, the sentence could be, "I went to the park with my friend yesterday." At an advanced level, it may become, "Yesterday, I went to the park with my friend. We walked for an hour, talked about our work, and then sat on a bench enjoying the sunshine." The difference is not only vocabulary, but also the ability to tell a small story in English. Practicing in this way allows you to measure your level honestly and shows you what to improve. Storytelling is one of the clearest signs of English fluency. Being able to tell a story means you can connect ideas, use correct tenses, and keep the listener interested. Let's begin with a very simple exercise. Imagine you are telling a short story about what you did yesterday. At a beginner level, you might say, "I wake up, I eat breakfast, I go to work." This is understandable, but it is in the wrong tense and has no connection between ideas. At an intermediate level, the same story could be, "Yesterday, I woke up at 7, had breakfast, and went to work. At work, I talked to my colleagues and finished some tasks." This already shows correct use of past tense and fuller sentences. At an advanced level, you could say, "Yesterday, I woke up at 7 o'clock and had a quick breakfast before leaving." G for work. At the office, I joined a meeting with my colleagues and worked on an important project. In the evening, I came home tired, but satisfied with what I achieved. The difference is detail, flow, and proper use of tenses. You can try this now by telling your own yesterday story out loud. Another way to test your grammar level in storytelling is to talk about the future. Imagine you are sharing your weekend plan. At beginner level, you might say, I go to market. At intermediate level, you could say, this weekend, I am going to the market to buy food. At advanced level, you could say, this weekend, I am planning to go to the market to buy fresh food. And later, I will meet a friend for coffee. On Sunday, I am going to spend some time with my family. The advanced version shows planning, different verb forms, and clear structure. Try to say your own weekend plan in as much detail as possible. Let's make it more challenging with conditionals. These sentences test how you connect possibilities and imagination. A beginner might not use conditionals at all and only say, I want money, I travel. At intermediate level, it could be, if I had money, I would travel. At advanced level, you might say, if I had enough money, I would travel around the world and explore different cultures. Because I believe traveling is the best way to learn about people. Adding because and extra details makes the story more complex and advanced. Try to create your own conditional sentence now, starting with if I had or if I could, and see how far you can go. Now, let's test your speaking ability with a descriptive story. Imagine you are describing a place you know well, maybe your school, your home, or your favorite cafe. At a beginner level, the description may be, my school is big. It has many rooms. At intermediate level, you could say, my school is big. It has many classrooms, a library, and a playground where students play. At advanced level, it may become, my school is a large building with many classrooms, a modern library, and a wide playground where students gather during breaks. The teachers are kind, and the environment is very supportive for learning. The more you can describe, the higher your level shows. Take a moment to choose a place and describe it out loud with as much detail as you can. Finally, let's practice a storytelling challenge using the past, present, and future together. Try to imagine you are talking about a holiday. At beginner level, you might say, I go beach, I like. At intermediate level, it could be, last year I went to the beach with my family. It was fun, and we swam in the sea. At advanced level, you could say, last year I went to the beach with my family and had an amazing time swimming in the sea and eating fresh seafood. Right now, I am looking at the photos we took, and I still feel happy when I remember the trip. Next year, I hope to visit another beach in a different city and create new memories. Using 3 different tenses in one story shows high fluency. You can try the same now with your own story. Choose a holiday or a trip you remember and tell it in detail, moving from past to present and then to the future. One of the easiest ways to check your English level is to notice how often you make common mistakes and how well you can correct them. Beginners often make mistakes that affect basic grammar, such as forgetting the S at the end of verbs in the present tense. For example, a beginner might say, she work in a bank. The correct sentence is, she works in a bank. If you already know how to add S to verbs when talking about he, she, or it, then you are moving beyond beginner level. Another very common mistake is with articles, a, an, and the. A beginner may say, I have car. The correct sentence is, I have a car. Or they may say, I saw elephant, instead of, I saw an elephant. At intermediate and advanced levels, you become much more confident with these small but important words. To test yourself, try making 5 sentences with a, an, and the. For example, I bought a book yesterday. She ate an apple for lunch. The book is on the table. If you can use them correctly every time, your level is rising. Another mistake is about confusing past tense verbs. Beginners often say, yesterday I go to the market. The correct version is, yesterday I went to the market. At intermediate level, you already know most irregular verbs and can use them naturally. I saw my friend. I had dinner. I went shopping. At advanced level, you can not only use the correct form, but also combine them into longer sentences. Yesterday, I went to the market, bought some fresh vegetables, and had dinner with my family. Try now to say 3 sentences about what you did yesterday, making sure your verbs are in the correct form. Let's look at another mistake with prepositions. A beginner might say, I am good in English. The correct form is, I am good at English. Or they might say, I am married with a teacher, when the correct form is, I am married to a teacher. Prepositions are small words, but very powerful, and mastering them shows a higher level of fluency. Try to practice by making sentences like, I am interested in learning languages. She is worried about the exam. They are excited about the trip. If you can do this naturally, you are already improving. Pronunciation can also show your level. Beginners sometimes say recipe instead of recipe, or comfortable instead of comfortable. Intermediate learners already know some of these differences and correct them. Advanced learners usually have much fewer pronunciation mistakes. You can test yourself by reading aloud words like vegetable, Wednesday, and clothes. If you can say them smoothly, you are moving toward higher fluency. Now let's test yourself with sentences that often cause mistakes. Repeat these after me and try to say them correctly. She has already finished her homework. I have been learning English for 2 years. If it rains tomorrow, we will stay at home. I am used to waking up early. Each of these sentences has grammar structures that learners often confuse. If you can say them correctly, you are definitely above beginner level. To practice correction, I will give you some wrong sentences, and your job is to correct them out loud. Ready? Here is the first one. He don't like coffee. Say the correct version. Yes, it should be, he doesn't like coffee. Now another, I can to swim. Correct version is, I can swim. Another one, she go to school yesterday. The correct version is, she went to school yesterday. Correcting mistakes like these is a simple but very effective way to know your true English level. At advanced level, mistakes are fewer, but often related to style and naturalness. For example, a beginner may say, I very like music. The correct version is, I really like music. An advanced learner would even expand it. I really enjoy listening to music, especially in the evenings, when I want to relax. The ability to sound natural and expand your ideas shows mastery. Fluency is not only about grammar and vocabulary, it is also about how smoothly and naturally you can express your thoughts without long pauses or hesitation. One way to check your level is to notice how long it takes you to answer a simple question. For example, if I ask, "What is your favorite food?" and you pause for a long time before answering, it may show you are still thinking in your native language and then translating into English. A more advanced learner answers quickly and naturally. My favorite food is pasta because it's delicious and easy to cook. Oh. Practice in quick responses is one of the best ways to build speed and fluency. Let's try a fluency challenge. I will give you a simple word, and your task is to start speaking immediately for 30 seconds without stopping. For example, the word is coffee. You could say, "I drink coffee every morning because it helps me wake up. Sometimes I drink black coffee, but other times I add milk and sugar. My friends also like coffee, and we often meet in cafes to enjoy it together." That is already more than 20 seconds of speaking. If you can do this exercise with different words, such as school, travel, or music, you are pushing your brain to think in English quickly. Another way to test fluency is with storytelling speed. Take a simple topic like yesterday evening. If you can say, "Yesterday evening, I stayed at home, I watched television, and then I had dinner," that shows basic ability. If you can expand and say, "Yesterday evening, I stayed at home after work, I watched a movie on television, had a nice dinner, and then spent some time reading a book before going to bed," that shows intermediate fluency. If you can add even more details smoothly, such as, "Yesterday evening, I stayed at home because I was feeling tired after work. I decided to watch a movie on television, and afterward, I prepared a simple dinner with pasta and salad. Later, I spent almost an hour reading a novel before going to bed around 11. Then you are clearly showing advanced fluency and the ability to speak naturally without stopping. Shadowing practice is also a powerful tool to test fluency. In shadowing, you listen to a sentence and immediately repeat it, matching the rhythm, tone, and speed. For example, say out loud with me, "I always try to speak English every day, even if it is just for a few minutes." Repeat it again, faster. Another one. "Sometimes I make mistakes, but I know that mistakes are part of learning." One more. "When I practice speaking every day, I can feel my English becoming more natural and smooth." If you can shadow quickly and keep up without losing words, it means your listening and speaking are well connected. Another fluency test is paraphrasing. This means saying the same idea in a different way. For example, if the sentence is, "I like going to the gym," you could paraphrase it as, "I enjoy exercising at the gym," or "I love spending time working out at the gym." A beginner often repeats the same exact words, but an advanced learner can use different expressions. Let's practice with another one. The sentence is, "I am learning English to get a better job." You can change it to, "I study English because I want to improve my career," or "I am practicing English so that I can have more job opportunities." The ability to paraphrase smoothly shows higher fluency. Finally, let's test your natural expression. Natural English is different from textbook English. For example, a beginner might say, "I very like English." The correct form is, "I really like English." But a natural, fluent speaker might even say, I'm really into learning English these days. This small change shows confidence and comfort with the language. Another example. A beginner may say, I don't know. A more natural way is, I'm not sure. Or instead of saying, I am very hungry, an advanced learner may say, I'm starving. These natural expressions are what make you sound fluent. Try enticing them by repeating, I'm not sure. I'm really into it. I'm starving. If you can start using these in daily conversation, your English will sound much more natural. Real-life role play is one of the most effective ways to discover how fluent you are, because it places you in situations that you are likely to face outside the classroom. Imagine, for example, that you are at the airport. A beginner might only say, "Where gate?" when asking for directions. An intermediate learner could say, "Excuse me, can you tell me where my gate is?" An advanced learner, however, might say, "Excuse me, could you tell me where gate 12 is? Also, do you know if the flight is on time?" The advanced version not only asks the question, but also adds detail, showing confidence and the ability to continue the conversation. You can practice this by imagining you are at an airport now and speaking aloud exactly what you would say. Another useful situation is visiting a doctor. At beginner level, someone might say, "I sick." At intermediate level, it becomes, "I am sick. I have a headache." At advanced level, you could say, "I haven't been feeling well for the past 2 days. I have a headache and a sore throat, and I feel very tired." This ability to describe your problem in more detail shows fluency and comfort with language. You can test yourself by describing how you would explain your symptoms in English if you were at a hospital today. Now think about being at a job interview. Beginners often feel nervous and only say, "I student" or "I work teacher." At an intermediate level, you might say, "I am a student. I study business. I want to work in an office." At an advanced level, you could say, "I am currently a student studying business management. I am passionate about learning new skills, and I hope to gain experience in a professional environment where I can contribute and grow." The advanced version has structure, confidence, and vocabulary that sounds natural. To test your level, try speaking for 1 full minute about your education or work without stopping. Let's imagine another daily life scenario, asking for help on the street. A beginner may say, "Where bus stop?" An intermediate learner might say, "Excuse me, where is the bus stop?" An advanced learner could say, "Excuse me, could you please tell me where the nearest bus stop is? I'm trying to get to the city center." Notice how each level adds clarity and politeness. You can test your fluency by practicing similar sentences for other locations such as restaurants, hotels, or libraries. Shopping in a store is another test of level. Beginners often use short phrases such as, "How much this?" At intermediate level, you might say, "How much does this cost?" At advanced level, you could say, "Excuse me, could you tell me how much this jacket costs? And do you also have it in a medium size?" Fluency is about asking more than just one question and building a natural flow. Practicing this out loud helps you to be prepared for real shopping conversations. Finally, let's test a social situation. Imagine meeting a new friend at a party. At beginner level, you might only say, "Hello, my name is Ali." At intermediate level, it could become, "Hello, my name is Ali. Nice to meet you. I am from Pakistan." At advanced level, you may say, "Hello, my name is Ali. It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm from Pakistan and I work in IT. What do you do?" By adding more detail and asking questions, you create a real conversation. This is exactly what shows your level, whether you can continue talking naturally or stop after one short line. Being able to keep a conversation going smoothly is one of the strongest signs of fluency. Beginners often stop after one or two short sentences, while intermediate learners can continue for a little longer. Advanced speakers, however, can extend their ideas, ask follow-up questions, and connect their sentences naturally. Let's begin with an everyday situation, such as talking about hobbies. At a beginner level, a learner might say, "I like music." At an intermediate level, it could become, "I like music. I usually listen to pop songs, and I sometimes play the guitar." At an advanced level, it may sound like, "I really enjoy music, especially pop and jazz. I usually listen to different playlists when I'm working or relaxing. And sometimes I play the guitar with my friends. Music is very important to me because it helps me relax and express myself." This is how one idea can expand into a fluent conversation. Try to practice by choosing one of your hobbies and speaking about it for at least 1 minute without stopping. Another way to test your level is to speak about your goals. Beginners often say, "I want job." An intermediate learner might say, "I want to get a job in an office. I study hard to prepare." An advanced learner could say, "My goal is to find a job in an office where I can use my English skills and also learn more about international communication. I study hard every day because I believe that learning English will give me more opportunities in the future." The advanced version has clarity, detail, and natural flow. Practice by sharing your own goals out loud, expanding your ideas instead of stopping too early. Now let's imagine a conversation about travel experiences. At beginner level, a learner might say, "I go to city, it was nice." At intermediate level, it could become, "I went to the city last month. I visited some museums and ate local food." At advanced level, it may be, "Last month, I traveled to the city and had an amazing experience visiting the museums, trying the local food, and walking around the old streets. I learned a lot about the culture, and I enjoyed meeting new people there." You can see how adding more detail and connecting sentences shows a higher level. Try to recall your last trip and describe it with as many details as possible. Advanced expression is also about showing opinion. For example, if someone asks, "Do you like reading?" a beginner may say, "Yes, I like." An intermediate learner might say, "Yes, I like reading. I read books sometimes." An advanced learner could say, "Yes, I really enjoy reading, especially novels. Reading helps me relax, and it also improves my imagination and language skills." Sharing reasons and adding examples makes your English sound richer and more fluent. You can practice this by taking any opinion question, such as, "Do you like sports?" or "Do you enjoy cooking?" and answering with full sentences, reasons, and examples. Another advanced skill is being able to compare and contrast. For example, if I ask, "Do you prefer tea or coffee?" a beginner may say, "I like tea." An intermediate learner might say, "I prefer tea because it is healthy." An advanced learner could say, "I prefer tea because it is lighter and healthier than coffee." but I sometimes drink coffee when I need more energy. I think both are good in different situations. Being able to give balanced answers shows higher fluency. Try practicing now by comparing two things you know well, such as summer and winter, or books and movies. Finally, let's look at how advanced learners express themselves in longer conversations. A beginner often answers questions directly, but does not continue. For example, if asked, "What do you usually do on weekends?" a beginner might say, "I stay home." An intermediate learner could say, "I stay home, I watch movies, and sometimes meet friends." An advanced learner, however, would expand more naturally. "On weekends, I usually spend time at home, watching movies or reading books. Sometimes I meet my friends for dinner, or go shopping with my family. I like weekends because they give me time to relax and prepare for the week ahead." This is the difference between short, basic replies and full, fluent answers. Now that you've gone through all the exercises with me, you should have a much clearer idea of where you stand with your English. If you found yourself giving only short, simple answers, then you are probably still in the beginner stage, and that is perfectly fine. The most important thing is that you are practicing, and every day you take one more step forward. Beginners improve quickly if they stay consistent and don't give up. If you were able to answer in full sentences, add some detail, and use the right grammar most of the time, then you are likely in the intermediate stage. This is a very exciting stage because you already understand a lot and can communicate in many situations, but you also notice the areas where you need to grow. At this stage, focus on expanding your vocabulary, practicing listening every day, and speaking as much as possible to build confidence. If you found that you could answer easily, speak in detail, and use natural expressions without stopping too much, then you are probably at an advanced level. This means you can already have deep conversations, share your opinions, and express yourself freely. For you, the challenge is not just learning more grammar or words, but making your English sound more natural, confident, and smooth. Wherever you discovered yourself in this test, beginner, intermediate, or advanced, you should feel proud. Taking the time to practice, repeat, and challenge yourself means you are already improving. Remember that learning English is not about racing to the finish line. It is about enjoying the journey, step by step, day by day. To keep building your skills, try using the same practice methods we used today in your daily life. Describe what you did yesterday. Share your plans for tomorrow. Tell short stories and compare things you like or don't like. Practice shadowing by repeating English sentences you hear from movies, songs, or lessons. Push yourself to answer questions quickly without translating in your head. Each of these small exercises will keep raising your level until you look back and realize how far you have come. Before we end today's session, I want to remind you of one very important thing: consistency. Even if you only practice for 10 or 15 minutes a day, that daily habit will change everything. Fluency is not built in one day, but it is built every day. Believe in yourself, stay motivated, and trust the process. Thank you so much for joining me in this English level test. I hope it helped you see your strengths, and also the areas you need to work on. If you enjoyed this lesson, make sure you stay with us for more daily English practice. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so that you never miss a lesson. And share this video with a friend who also wants to improve their English. Together, you can motivate each other and grow faster. Take a deep breath, smile, and congratulate yourself. You did a great job today. Keep practicing. And remember, every word you speak is a step closer to fluency. See you in the next lesson.